Make my own rules, play my own games. I don't give a what you
Hi,
say.
I'm Ray.
And I'm Steph,
And this is the SciComm Hotline.
where we gossip about all the cringe and exciting ways science is communicated in real life.
So let's bring the drama.
Wild and free.
Yo, Sam is gonna join, our first ever guest. She doesn't know she's gonna join the room and it's already gonna be recorded.
I hope I sent her the right link. Now I'm paranoid. There's only one link, but it's
There's
gonna
only one
hopefully
link
it's the right
to rule
one.
them all. And in the darkness find them. Hi everyone. We'll do an initial hello before Sam comes.
Oh, do you want to do that? Okay, then. We can just cut all this out.
I'm not used. I feel like you always do the hello.
Okay. Hi, baby.
Hi, Kiki. We're so hyped.
We're so hyped. We're going to have our first guest on. We're low-key recording before she's actually going to come on, and then we're going to be shook. So you'll hear that in a few seconds. Or
Yes.
should we reveal that? Is that revealing too soon?
That to the audience is in on this. Sam is not.
Yeah. Okay, true. Because, like, by the title, they should know already.
Yeah.
But I'm wearing an armbar shirt. It says, May the Force be with you. May the Force be with you. Because I do Jujutsu, girly.
I'm wearing my UCLA Kendo t-shirt because I visited their dojo one time and they graciously gave me this. Oh, you know what? I wanted to do like the cool person flipping the sleeves of a t-shirt up, which makes you look a little tougher. But then I forgot to do that. Do you
Just
already
do it. I guess those listening won't know if it's flipped or not.
Yeah, no.
Oh, you
Yours
can
is
see
not
my
flipping.
tats.
I don't know if you're tough enough, Steph.
All right, would you ever get a tattoo?
No, I'm so indecisive.
Mm.
I would think that I want a tattoo for the rest of my life, and then tomorrow I would change my mind. Tomorrow.
I feel that.
Hey. Well, that's the best reaction to joining a Riverside ever.
We're so excited you're here.
Oh,
I'm excited to be here.
we are very excited that you're here, and we already started recording because we were like, it would be a waste of our excitement if you come
my
in.
God. As I'm like putting on my headphones and still chewing my grapes.
One should. This is the vibe of this podcast.
Right? I mean, since you guys started, I was like, yo, when do I get to go on and talk shit with them?
I love. Okay, I know that we already have like an agenda of what you want to talk about, but maybe we should just start off with just like an unsolicited like hot take or what is like your your SciComm drama or what are you hating on right now?
What are you doing? Yeah.
We're
That's
jumping right into
spicy.
it. I guess I feel so bad that we're just recording right away without even like just like
What? Consent who?
Yeah, I know exactly.
That's all good. I feel like my hot takes are boring. Like my only hot takes like don't be a dick. Like but that's not a hot take.
Yeah,
That's
that's
like
not a hot
but
take.
Do you
people
have an
forget.
example? Like maybe because like hot takes would example like this happened, and I'm like, don't do that. Maybe in that context, it might be more of a hot take.
Yeah, it's when people say like, well, I have a PhD in this. Like you will never catch me saying that because I just think that's so egregious and annoying. And it also doesn't mean that you know what you're talking about.
Right.
Just because even if it's in your field, you still might be making shit up. Look at Dr. Oz. Look at what's the other guy? Anyways, look at everyone who lies when it's their field. So that's not a hot take.
Question: is this a general thing that is always a hot take, or you're like, no, it's like a situation based, and something happened in a situation where I was like, this is not the right place to bring that up, or
It's probably like a vibe check, like if you're doing it in a snitty way versus like I get like if you're someone who doesn't meet the stereotype of what someone in that field looks like if you're a woman who dresses very femme or if you're like the only person who's black to graduate from your astrophysics department and so it's important for you to state your credentials because people are constantly discrediting you. Yeah, like I'm with you, do it. But chances are, if you're one of those people, you're not doing it in an obnoxious and egregious way because you get it. So like it's a vibe check. I just feel the tension because yes, expertise is so important and we need to teach people like what expertise means because there are a lot of people pretending to have expertise. Yes. But at the same time, if you're using your expertise as a means to gatekeep information, I don't like that. And I
Or
get people, I already
policing.
know. Yeah, like I get it at the same time. I know you're gonna say, but things are gate. I get it. Expertise takes time. I just don't think we're helping our cause. Like ultimately, if it's like what will help our cause, that for me isn't it. Like you should never listen to me because I have a PhD. You should listen to me because I'm quoting expert consensus. You should listen to me because I'm being nice and that maybe matters to you. You should listen to me because I care. Um, those are why you should listen to me.
Yeah.
Like my degree, I should be able to do that whether or not I have a degree. Like just to be a decent person. I don't know. I know the counter arguments. I just that's where I stand.
Well, no, I get it. You're talking about like it's a combination of
Yeah.
factors. Like it's well, like when we talk to like scientists or when we're training and all of that, it's like always competence and warmth. If you just show the
Mhm.
competence, you could like as easily become like the stereotypical evil scientist of all the movies. If you're
Mhm.
warm, then are you the expert? Like I trust my mom because she's very warm, but I don't trust her like for
Mhm.
to extract my juice. I mean, it depends on the situation. Uh,
I mean, she's done it. So
yeah,
I know, like as a toddler, maybe, you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
like anyway,
it's
not as
fine.
not as an adult, which is kind of like what is that combination that I'm looking for, and is any one of those the
Yeah.
thing for me to choose to trust you? So yeah, on the other side of the table, when you're the scientist, when you're the expert, like how can you give a perception of that whole
Mhm.
universe of um competencies?
It's like the big tension in our field because I'm like I I actually like never asked to be called doctor ever until someone calls me Mrs. and then I'm like, it's
Mm,
doctor.
Right.
mhm,
Like,
mhm.
because I don't know. For me, I'm like, I just don't identify with that. Like, you can't,
Yeah, right, right,
you can't be doing that. But like,
right.
anyways,
Anyways,
uh,
Stephanie, do you have a hot take hate for today?
I have a love hate, not a love hate, like I hated on this because it was good.
mm,
Absolutely.
But I'm a fan of hydroxide science or hydroxide food science. She is like a
oh,
food
I feel like I
scientist,
just saw that for the
super
first
short
time.
blonde hair. Not super blonde. She has short blonde hair. She does like no, 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 no. Like this is the lat like this. She has like deadpan talks about like food science in terms of like ingredients and counteracts it with like the misinformation or the common tropes that are happening in like the nutrition space. But yeah, but I just think she's so cool. Like she's one of like a couple episodes ago we talked about like parasocial relationships, and
Yeah,
I'm like, this bitch looks cool. Like I want to be friends
yeah,
with her. Like bring her into like our SciComm ecosystem. She's like in a different SciComm ecosystem that I'm like, oh, she's kind of out of reach. I'm never gonna be able to
yeah,
like hang
yeah.
out with her. But she's just like, I'm hating because like I want to be her friend. She looks cool as fuck.
I think she just came across my feed for the first time like 2 days ago because that handle's familiar. I was like,
Mm.
who is this? But now I can't remember what I saw, which is part of the problem.
Yeah, she just
Yeah.
launched her website and
The
she doesn't say
rebrand.
her name. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, yeah, that's what I saw.
And
Mhm.
then so she on her website was what was interesting is that she doesn't say her name. She's like, "My name is Hydroxide." And so I was like, "Oh, she's going with like a pseudonym. Like that's interesting. That's cool. I guess that's, another episode, another callback. We talked about creeps. So I think that's also like a safe way of just kind of like
Yeah,
anonymity, but still having like
Uh-huh.
identifiers.
right.
But I guess that's my love hate for this week's episode.
And just like a creep was just like sending me like, did you see her new website? Did you see that?
I did.
It was cool. It was cool. Um,
Uh,
can I tell you who's my favorite sci-commer right now?
Great on,
yeah.
please. Like love it, huh?
Kiana Wilson, the Astrosted. I think
Oh, I
just
followed them a while ago.
like the perfect yeah, she just has like the perfect blend of everything for me. Like when it comes to yeah, like stating the credentials but not in an obnoxious way, like clapping back at like the racism in the field and why that informs her approach to science communication, but in a way that's still like well, just period, but then also in a way that's very fun. I don't know. For me like that's I was like, "You know what? This is the school of thought I'm in." I don't know what it
Mhm.
is, but that's where I'd like to be.
I wonder if it's just because like we're in that queer ecosystem too of just kind of just like
Yeah.
we like the alternative, like the
Yeah.
alternative kind of
Yeah.
like SciComm ask us stuff.
Which also makes me
Yeah.
wonder if we need to do a whole episode on hosting because a lot of people were
Yeah.
bringing up like these are hosts that are having like a way of presenting themselves. And the thing that like Stephanie was saying, like I sent her,
Interesting.
was just like it was a group of people. They were all hosts, and they were all having one message. And like half of them had like the style of like the phone and the message, and the other half were like more like a to the camera. It felt like there was a background. It felt more scripted. And I was
Mm.
wondering, like, I felt that the ones that were holding the camera felt so much more authentic. And I didn't know if it was because of the juxtaposition. I didn't know if it's because I'm so used to the social media phone thing. But like at some point, I was not even paying attention to the content. I was so mesmerized by how different they were and how much I was like, oh, this feels so natural. The message, and
Mhm.
the other one, I was just fixated on like,
Yeah.
is he reading from a script? Is he doing that? Is this planned? It's
I always think about I wonder how many takes that was for that, like, natural sign off at the end, because
right.
I'm very in my head, like, I am all prefrontal cortex, like, I'm constantly editing myself as I speak to the point where, like, I've had to, like, restructure how I film because I was like, "This is too much."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm over editing in real time, and it's not good, and I need to just be messy more, like, it's fine, but anyways,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a fine line, and I feel like the pandemic made me more self-conscious because there was so much more criticism that it changed things in how I feel comfortable showing up online, and I wanna
Mhm.
change it back because I'm sick of it.
Do you want to expand?
I just felt like I had to be a very you know how a lot of people said during the pandemic because they were working from home, they actually got to explore, like, their gender expression more and, like,
Mm.
explore styles more and be more experimental? I went in the opposite direction. I felt I had to be, like, much more, like, palatable almost, much more serious, much more I was very cognizant that if I was gonna be on TV explaining something serious, my goal was to be a good source of information for people. I couldn't be distracting with all these other things,
Mm,
which is something I'm so against because I should be able to just be me, but the stakes felt too high for
Yeah.
that kind of risk. So then I kind of just had to, like I just thought a lot more about, like, what are all the critiques I could get? What are all the ways this could be misinterpreted?
yeah.
And turning that off has been really hard.
Well, this makes me so self-conscious 'cause, there's a
It
training.
sucks.
It's also well, there's a part of training that we do with, like I'm also and I'm gonna, like, wrap this up, and then we're gonna move to, like,
Yeah.
parts, but this is so interesting, and I think we should have you again and talk a little bit. Um, this idea of, like there used to be all these things of, like, stage presence, um,
Mhm.
to be open, do this, don't walk around, and one of the right, there was, like, all this, like, power pose, everything, and one of the things I've tried to, like, tell people when I do this training is, like, don't be distracting. Don't be distracted. If you're, like, making 0 eye
Yeah.
contact, that's distracting. If you're walking too much, that's distracting. And then with clothing, it used to be like, don't wear like this, don't wear that. And now I'm like, don't be too distracting. If people are not paying attention to what you're saying and only paying attention to your attire, that's distracting. But at the same time, I wonder how a directive like that makes someone that is already very self-conscious be like, and I do exactly, and I'm like, am I being distracted? So I go back much more than I need to just
Yeah.
because I don't want to be distracting. And you're like, no, 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 this is not distracting. I'm coming in like, don't come in a complete giraffe costume if you're not talking about something related to giraffes.
That's fair. But there's a line in between, like
Yeah, I know, you went to, like, the far extreme, but it's also kind of like when you provide so many restrictions, then, yeah, you're
Mhm.
reducing that level of authenticity because you're controlling the way that this person is showing up, and then having to, like, what Sam is saying, like, self-edit or be just self-conscious of just like, "Oh, am I not putting my hands? Am I not doing this?" Like, I even noticed that in having to guide people as, like, a producer in the
Mhm.
behind the camera of being like, okay, sit up straight, like don't cross your hands, like don't do this. But because they're so in their shape, then they're just coming off like so extremely stiff that you have to just like, okay, rewind it back, like still be you, like how can we still like hype you up, get you excited for it, but then, do it in a more tamed way. And that's a hard balance. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I remember being in a speaking training in grad school, and this actually has happened in almost any speaking training I did in grad school because we did a ton in our field. That was a very common thing, and one of them, said something about the way like, basically don't speak in the way that I speak was
Mhm.
was the interpretation.
do what you're doing, but don't do it.
Yeah, like it was
Whatever you're
just like a
doing,
broad
don't.
yeah. Something about it was probably like up talk related or vocal fry or something.
Mm.
I can't remember. It was years ago. And I was just like, hey, that's just how I naturally speak or something. And then another one was like, don't touch your hair or whatever. And I was like, that you just made I really love speaking and I do it a lot and I'm told I'm pretty good, but you guys made me feel really bad in this session. And I talked to them after. And I was like, it was pretty emotional and then they felt
Yeah.
really bad. And then they changed their workshops apparently. But anyways, it was just unnecessary.
Like low-key misogyn like, was it men that were, like, telling you this too?
Or anything about like
Yeah.
women do more of vocal fries, touching their hair and stuff. So you're like, oh, how is it that I
Yeah.
think this is?
It also, it just because I touch my hair as I'm walking to the stage, that means I'm stupid.
Mm,
That's what you're saying. And if someone thinks that, great. I can't wait to prove them wrong.
right. Right.
Or that you're, like, superficial, like, caring about your appearance rather than just, like,
Yeah.
the content of, like, what you're gonna be speaking of.
Yeah.
I can be both.
I know exactly. We contain the multitudes.
I can be superficial and vain and also know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, on that note, we're
Yeah.
all three. We're also attractive. We're also funny. We're also sad.
I'm like, where's this going?
Well, no, I was just gonna say the similarities of just like we all do martial arts. So we're here because, and aside of all of us containing multitudes, we all practice some type of martial arts, which is like not something like it wasn't until recently that I read that you had like an interview or like a magazine interview where you mentioned about like you doing martial arts that Ray and I were like, oh shit, she's like she's one of us, So, but it's
For
also something that
real.
like Ray has been doing a little bit more with her SciComm in terms of like sharing some of her kendo
I love it.
stuff and pictures. But for me, like it's not something that I've just been like outwardly about in public. It's just kind of like what I do in my spare time.
What do you train? I didn't even know.
I do jujitsu.
Oh, you're one
That's
of
why I
them.
have arm bar.
Okay, yo, jujitsu is crazy.
Getting a lot of jujitsu ads. I don't know if it's because I have conversations with you now. There's like something about Instagram. There's like, Stephanie, have you considered this?
Have you considered like strangling someone? Like, it's so scary.
Have you just like made them listen just by putting them in a chokehold?
Literally. You try it. Why not?
I know
Well,
exactly.
this is also important for our audiences that, first of all, don't know how. We have Sam with us today, Samantha Yammine. Woo!
We literally did not even introduce your name or anything like that. We just went straight into it. I'm so
I've
sorry.
never had a guest on this show. We were texting before that.
Wait,
I'm nervous. I'm like,
wait, actually, you've never had a guest?
no, you're our first ever guest.
Oh, thank goodness. Wait, that's true.
Yeah.
I didn't piece that together, but that does track.
Yeah, we have been each other's guests for the longest time, but we are very excited that we have our coolest neuroscience, science communication, TV host, Instagram host, social media host, storyteller, all in all, creator, designer, all of that kind of stuff, and martial artist put into this one containing multitude person unicorn, which is Sam.
I'm gonna get that transcript printed out. That was
We can do that for
beautiful.
you. We can do that for you.
There's a card with
beautiful.
like a very small notes on it, and someone has to like you give them also a magnifying glass. Like, this is me.
Oh, you're so
Do we
cute.
miss anything about the introduction that you're like, this is me, and no one talks about it, and I want them to know that?
You covered a lot. I would only add Science is a Drag because I'm behind the scenes on it, and sometimes people message me to tell me about it, and I'm like, "Baby, I co-founded that. Like, I named it. That was my name. Like,
That was my
my
initiative.
idea. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, so I'll just add that because no one knows that I do that behind the scenes.
We love it and we follow it for sure. Can you tell us a little about your martial arts, what it is, and what do we need to know about it?
So I train in Muay Thai, which is the art of 8 limbs. So it's a cousin of kickboxing, you could say, but it's Thai style. So you can also throw knees and elbows. Super
Yeah.
deadly, super scary.
My
Um,
head went to the attic of just like, what limbs are we throwing out there?
yeah. Yeah, all 8 limbs, baby. Knees and bows. Which is super fun. Sometimes you just really need to throw an elbow at like It feels good. And I've been training for a long time on and off, like probably a decade on and off, but I've become more serious about it in the last like 2.5 years. And over the last 6 months, I've done like two fight camp style training programs,
Oh, nice.
which no
Ooh.
one knows I'm doing because I haven't been posting about it because it's too it like I just always forget to film stuff. But like right now, I'm at the end of a 3.5 month camp where we were training 5 days a week for 3 hours,
Dang.
like
Oh,
with our
Dang.
fight
That's like
team.
serious.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And
you
then
physically and all of that. You're like pain, cramps, all of that, or
I think my injury count right now is like I have 5 on which is normal for a camp. Like it's pretty intense. Like we're sparring heavy 2 times a week. We're training like what's 3 times 5? 15 hours a week including runs.
mm.
We're training with the fight team and they have like fights happening. And I was almost lured into competing, but I was like, what am I doing? I don't have time for this. Like, so yeah, it's been amazing. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's my
I'm curious as to okay, so so our gym is like they have kickboxing, they have like MMA, and we have jujutsu. And I have a lot of girlfriends, or just one girlfriend in our small women's class that has done like the MMA. But me, I think this is where like my superficiality comes into. It's just like I don't want to be hit in the face, like this is my breadwinner. I don't want to be hit in the face. So like for Muay Thai, that's still very like
yeah.
combative. And so like are you like, yeah, I don't want to be hit. I don't want to be hit. So like how do you even overcome like the physicality of having to like throw punches at people?
Honestly, it was really hard at first, especially, like, being a neuroscientist. I'm like, "I will not hit your brain," you know? But, we have a fantastic coach at our gym named Betty who started a women's program because she found, I think, a lot of women were hesitant or were thinking that they can. And so then we got to, like, start doing tech sparring and tech drilling, and then that became real sparring, and then it became heavy sparring, and then it just evolved. And it gets to a point where you're like, I need to respect my partner by trusting they can defend, and you're never throwing to, like, hurt someone in sparring.
Mhm.
You're and we don't throw elbows in sparring. So
Mm.
that's the real scary one. You punch, like, fast but not hard.
Mhm.
That's the goal unless you're sparring with a coach or it's, like, a specific type of sparring where they say hit heavy. But, so that's made it easier, and you get to a point where it's like, well, if you're not actually hitting me, I'm not learning. But I do find it funny that like I wear makeup. I got my first like skin laser treatment recently, but then I'll come home with bruises from sparring. And I'm I bruise easy. So I've had some like on my forehead, on my nose. And I'm like, I really need to consider this more.
Yeah.
Right. You know, what's so interesting is, with martial arts, like I started with like Tai Chi and Qigong, like when I was like 18, which is much more
Wow.
like gentle and slower and all of that. I tried like karate for like 1 year, less than 1 year. And then when I had my first test, I overdid it so much that I hurt my knee and never did it, which I feel like is the story of my life. That I did Iaido, which is like a Japanese style of swordsmanship, which is like much like, again, like slower, meditative, not combative. And then I did Kendo for like a year and a half, 2 years ish now. And it's like, I love it. You wear a full
Mhm.
armor, so, like, you can't really, like, hurt your face as much unless, like, a shred of this bamboo sword. There's, like, horror stories of, like, the shred of, the sword came off and went to someone's eyes and it blinded
Oh,
them, and I'm like, "Okay, let's check our swords before we start engaging." But you have, like, the whole, like, armor and everything, and what is interesting is the more professional you become, the better you become. I think you're
mhm.
better at not hurting people when you hit them in the
Yeah.
head, because 'cause you're supposed to, yeah, like the towel that does, like, the slap that
Mhm.
comes back, like, you're supposed to hit like that, like, that's a mark of a good hit, and
Yeah.
kind of interesting to me, and maybe that would be a way to also enter with, like, communication and science communication is that especially when we start, we're like, "I'm gonna hit really hard." And you're like,
Mhm.
"No, no, 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 your power and your strength and everything comes from you knowing how to hit to get a point, but not hurt."
Yeah.
And to me, I'm like,
Exactly.
this is so deep. This is so SciComm.
I mean, if I may also, the a difference between, Muay Thai, especially traditional Muay Thai, which our gym is really big on, um, compared to something like MMA and, like, UFC style fighting, it is very mu there are, like, style points. Like, it is about being smooth and being dominant, but in a chill way. So, like, I was actually very disappointed with how White Lotus depicted it because the last season was in Thailand, and I was like, it's Muay Thai is very unhinged, like White Lotus. Like, it
Uh,
goes from like so deadly, but then you're laughing. Like, famously, one fighter gets hit and he'll like laugh and smile and stick out his tongue. And I'm like, that's the energy. Like, you're smooth and you're funny, but then you're deadly. So it is very controlled in that way. And actually, it's discouraged to just try to be violent, but be messy. Like, that looks very bad. No one cares how hard you can hit if you look like a mess.
mhm.
So I do think that that's where it resonates with me because
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, we are controlled and we know what we're doing, but we're chill about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it also speaks to, I know it's kind of hard if you're like, when we're jumping in, you know.
I mean, I'm not a chill person, which is why I'm laughing. Like, I'm very type A.
Yeah.
But I like the energy.
Exactly. No, for real, for real. I think where I was gonna, what resonates with me with martial arts and SciComm is in terms of like what you both are saying in terms of like when you've put in time and energy and training into it, then it's more about like the technique versus like when people start off right away and they're new, they're
Mhm.
always going to go into like how aggressive can I be, you know?
Yeah.
And so like when I am still very just new to this. I've been doing jujitsu for like 2 years,
It's a
but
long time.
when oh, I know. But like it's on and off. But I've been doing jujitsu for 2 years and we see an influx of people that come in, that try it or like that stay and then it become more consistent. And whenever we get like fresh new white belts, it's always them just like yeah, like how
Yeah.
hard can I like they're trying to prove a point when you're just like,
Mhm.
dude, we're just rolling. We're just like we're just we're just practicing. Like
Yeah.
we're not competing.
Mhm.
I am not trying to hurt you, but they want to like prove
Yeah.
their strength and especially now I've seen it in both like men and women that come into our gyms.
But more
Of
so
just like
men.
more so 100% men. More so 100% men. With
Look how
women,
strong
they're
I am.
actually I know exactly. There's this like there's men that I'm like, I'm not rolling with you. Even my husband, who is like a 200-pound man, will be like, I'm not rolling with that guy
Wow.
because he
No.
is trying to like prove a point that no one cares. That
Yeah.
he just like set on himself and is trying to use like force and violence to feel like he's strong when it's just like you're hurting everybody and you're not proving any point and you're not showing how strong you are. You're showing how lack of training that you have because you're so messy and so aggressive.
And how uncool you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, like no one wants to roll with you. So then you like they're walking around like, do you want to roll? And everyone's like, oh, you know. So then we become like that outcast that like no one wants to touch or mess with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite people like at the dojo are the people that take me serious. Like, so they're not going easy on me, but they're
Mm-hmm.
very tall and I'm very short and we have armors and we have to like get the like hits right. And I see them like do a little bit of a bow so that I get my point
Ah.
right, especially when I'm not sparring but training. Because they're like in the training, like I can help you learn how to do it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm gonna like be a little more serious and you gotta figure out your own distance. So I'm like, you take me serious and you're not like giving me any way out, but also you are adjusting to who I am and what I actually like. It's my height. There's nothing I could do about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like Sammy, we're gonna say something.
No, I just like very much agree with what you said because it's true. We always like I started up in the women's program, but now I spar with anyone and the people who respect you back, especially when they're bigger. Like there's a guy who just did a fight and he's in the 185-pound range. Okay. He's all muscle, super tall and scary. But sparring with him is so nice because
Right.
he could kill me. He's not trying to, but he's still
Mm-hmm.
challenging me. And like it's also fun because you get to hit him hard because he doesn't feel it. So
I think where the base level is in terms of like, okay, how do we apply this to like our SciComm
Mm.
is like energy matching, you
Mm,
know?
Oh, T, yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
because yeah, like energy matching and like that like I guess that the respect reciprocity.
Yeah.
Because there's moments like there are people that I know that when I'm gonna roll with them, okay, I maybe there's two cases in terms of like one case, I already know this person. I already know this person is spazzy or they are a little bit more aggressive. And so I'm already physically meant to preparing myself to like be more restrained and more calm So I'm on the defensive, but I'm still stable and not allowing their like sporadicness to like make me flustered.
Rattle you, right?
But it's hard to gauge that when you haven't rolled or met this person ever again. But then there's moments where I will be rolling with someone super entirely new. They think they have to be aggressive, but because I'm more restrained and just rolling and just going through movements and more flowing, then I can feel them like, oh, I can put my guard down. We're just having fun. They end up matching my energy because of the energy level that I set for myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, what you're also saying is really funny because it's a sparring or like training style that's adaptive based on your audience, if you may. And
Mm-hmm.
actually, I've noticed some folks I train with like don't do that. They have one style and they kind of, especially when you're new, it's hard to adapt your style. Your style is your style. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think there are a lot of things I'm bad at, but one thing I do for sure in training is I like change my style. I mirror maybe
Mm.
to a flaw where like I let
Mm.
the other person set the pace.
Mm.
But I think it comes from like being super empathetic and my job where I'm like always I'm so mindful of the other person. Oh, you got this injury, so I shouldn't do that, you know? It's almost to a flaw in my case, but it's that same kind of mirroring with other people that I like can't not do.
So this makes me wonder. Um, there are moments during training where I get so flustered, like someone. So, for example, like very early on in training, if someone was like so I don't have like a rank, I haven't tested yet, right?
Mhm.
And if there would be like someone else that has no rank and has been there for longer, so I know for a fact they have been there longer, but they kind of treat me the ways like some of the senseis would treat me. Like if we're sparring, they would just open and let me hit. And I'm like, no, no, don't open. Like,
Yeah.
sensei, we're in the same, like, let's just spar. And I would get flustered, and there would be moments that I get angry, right? And
Yeah.
like like at one time I even kind of like snapped like control, and I was like, "Don't open for me," right?
Yeah.
And then I had to calm myself down and be like, "He's trying to be very helpful. You're newer. He's been here for a while. He is trying to learn how he can be a better educator too. Because one of the things that you constantly learn is like learn how to be an learn how to be a
Yeah.
motodachi, a receiver for the other person. So he was trying to be very good, but me, we have this wonderful sensei Eriko sensei. She's just been like such a guiding light as well. And one of the things one time she was telling us is like, see what are the things that like something to the effect of, see what are the things that fluster you emotionally,
Mhm.
even like make anxious, and see what does that mean about you.
Mhm.
And to me, it was like one of those things where I was like, oh, there's this and a few other things that I'm like, I constantly feel like I'm smaller than I am. And I also like, you can see that in my sparring. I go really close to hit, which means I
Mhm.
get hit instead of keeping my distance.
Oh my gosh, I do that too.
No wonder that
Sam is just a petite little girl.
I'm not.
I know you're tall. I'm like, you look
Well,
tall. Like Ray and I are legit short. So like for you
are
to like
you?
go in, you're like, yeah, I'm like we're both like 5'2" or something like that.
Babies.
I think
Yeah, I know.
I'm 5'4" and a half. So like I'm
Yeah.
actually very average, but I
that's what I mean. Like, I wonder if it's like these kind of things that in my head, I'm like, oh, people see me as small. And I got really angry. They're like, don't see me as small. I'm a big girl. Like
Hmm.
how you would treat everyone else. And
yeah.
that was a big part that was my assumptions. And I wonder, like, when you were saying, like, the thing that I learned about myself is like, am I too adaptive? You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
I mean, I also a few of us joke about like the thing that we hate is when someone's trying to cheer us on, but they're like, "You got this." It gets so patronizing. I'm like, "Yeah, I know." Or like I'll hit
Yeah.
someone and they'll be like,
I trained for
"Nice."
this.
Someone who's like newer than me will be like, "Nice." And I'm like, "Yeah." Like obviously.
Yeah.
And for me, it feels patronizing and the chip on my shoulder is people like underestimating me or being patronizing to me. I don't know. Well, I could speculate where it comes from, but that is my chip. I really hate that gets me I'm like, "Why would you" oh, like I get mad and like I need to prove myself probably because I
Oh,
have always had to.
that's
So,
interesting. That's interesting to hear. I think another sport that I'm thinking about that I've done, which is rock climbing,
mm,
like we cheer each other on because at least with rock climbing, we're solving
yeah.
puzzles.
For
And
sure.
like when so then when people like do get a move, you're like, "Oh, that was sweet. Like sick, you got that." Like we're treating them on. And
Yeah.
so even I noticed that like when I'm rolling with people, especially with newer people that end up getting me, like they end up like submitting me, I'll be like, "Nice."
Yeah.
Like, "You got me.
That
You
makes
you got."
sense. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, but I guess if they were newer and they're just telling me nice and you're like, "You don't know shit. You just I guess
Yeah.
I can see that. Like, you just joined here. Like, who do
Well,
you think you
it
are?"
it this is the thing though. It's the same. I think your true self and like a lot of things of life come out in sparring. So it's true. Like someone who sees my struggle and knows it, and I train with a lot, and I'm fighting for my life to do a push up with 3 bands, like,
Mhm.
and they're like, "Come on, Sam, keep pushing, don't give up." That's helpful, but it's because we have a shared lived experience, and I think in science communication too, we can be so quick to judge before we've listened, before we've like understood someone, before we actually see them, that it just becomes so patronizing. When you just
Mhm.
start explaining before you've listened to what the person even cares to learn about, you're that person who's patronizingly cheering, "You got this." And I'm like,
Mhm. Mhm.
"Ugh,
Right.
I know I got this. I'm not worried about this. I'm worried about this other thing." And it's just
Yeah.
what people do all the time. Like, it's not seeing someone first. Everyone just wants to be seen.
Interesting.
Do you Oh, go ahead.
You
Go
go,
ahead,
call
Ray.
that.
Well, I guess my question that I want to pose to the group is like, do you think there's not enough self-aware science communicators? Like, is it being in martial arts that having to be so on our body and so, at least for jujitsu, we're so intimate. Like people joke that
Yeah.
it's like a gay
Oh,
sport, it's a gay ass sport where I'm just
for
like
sure it
literally
is.
like I'm literally mounting someone and like putting my whole body onto them just to like choke them.
Face
It's a
face and crotch.
100%, dude. I hate that. Like, I hate that. But it is. It's like the realities of it. We have to be so intimate with this person. And so that makes me like super self aware of like, okay, I'm like mindful of my
Mhm.
body. I'm aware of this person's body, talking about like how we want to take care of this person. We want to make sure that we're getting the fitness and the training that we need, but we're not doing it at the expense of hurting ourselves or someone else. And so, like, yeah, like, are there
Mhm.
science communicators that need to be more self aware?
For
And how do we become
sure.
more self-aware, you know?
More for sure, there's, like, a history of it, right? Everyone just forgetting that, like, poverty exists, that medical racism exists, and the way that they jump in to things, for sure, and, that's where I'm like, number 1 rule of science communication is, like, listen first.
Mhm.
Um, One of my great friends and, like, an amazing, amazing person, Eugenia Duodu, she was saying she runs an organization called Visions of Science, where they connect students in marginalized neighborhoods with science activities, and she said, like, day 1 of the pandemic, everyone's like, "Do you need laptops for school at home, blah, blah, blah," and she was like, "No, hold on, kids, like, do you got food at home? Do you have someone what like, do you have support? Do you guys have internet? Like, are your basic needs being met before we start thinking about what your science training is gonna look at home? Screw your science training, like, are you guys good?"
Mhm.
And we don't do that enough, and, like, science can be very paternalistic and one-sided in the way that it makes assumptions, and that's where the self-awareness needs to come in.
Yeah. And if I can add, it's interesting because I feel like there's like completely the psychological part, the communication side of it that you mentioned that we do so little of. And there's even
Mm,
like a very physical, visceral side of it. It's like when you get into an argument, the fact that you are learning that, like before sparring, you're like, I see my body like right now. So one of my problems is I use my shoulders a lot to hit.
mm.
And every time, even when I was doing Tai Chi, my Tai Chi like teacher was like, lower your shoulder, like, why are you
Oh,
hitting your shoulder? And I think
same.
that's something that a lot of other people are like, "Yep, that's exactly how it look like, the shoulders are up, like,
Relax. I'm like, "I am relaxed. What do you mean?"
don't you see me relax?" So you have to have, like, this, like, extreme awareness, and I'm going into sparring, I feel my adrenaline rush. I feel like my body is becoming tense, and I remember recently I don't know if I can say it's because of martial arts, but it's something that I was noticing when I was having a conversation with someone, it was, like, over Instagram, and at some point, I was like, "I feel the adrenaline in my body.
Mhm.
And I actually had to be like, "I feel this in my body. Do you mind if we take a break?" And
Beautiful.
which I've never done in my life. It's never happened to me, and I was like, "This is not me on a normal state of mind for a conversation that is this heavy." Like, I think I need to stop, I need to take a break or something, and I wonder some of that body awareness of, like, "I'm getting really anxious," actually does help science communicators to like both be able to be like or being aware of Sam, like this is so interesting because when you see other people and it's like, is that the right question that I'm asking them, can you see
Mhm.
it in their bodies? Like reading body language is such an important thing.
Yeah.
Like, was that a cringeworthy question? Should I have asked something else? And these are maybe some of the things. I don't know if you all feel that you're more aware of your body and other people's.
Sometimes hyper aware, again, to a fault, where I'm like, that's actually what I've worked on in sparring is like to let go. Like I'm such a thinker and I'm in my head. And so where it helps where martial arts helps me is, like, in learning to let go and be more present, because I start thinking and overanalyzing and just letting go, because if you're thinking too much, you're just gonna get hurt. Like, the consequences are so dire that you learn really fast. So that, like,
Yeah.
letting go is the sweet spot. But, yeah, I feel very, like, hyper aware, and in social settings too, like, also being Arab, like, we care so much about social interactions, and you're just raised from a young age to, like, think about if you're being rude, if you're being this, that. Ooh, like,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
The social
So,
conditioning.
it's strong. I mean, it's cool, it's interesting, I kind of like it, I think it's fun, but I compare it to, like, my partner where he doesn't think about how someone's feeling in a social interaction at all.
Mhm.
I'm like, "Really? You didn't catch that eye movement?"
Yeah, yeah. No, 100%, 100%. You're, like, reading way too into, like, in between the
Too
lines too
much.
much. Yeah, yeah.
What's it called? Corn plating in
What?
a
Wow,
show?
I never
Yeah.
Corn
I
Yeah,
never heard of that.
people, like, hyperanalyze every scene in a
bread?
movie.
That's so
I don't know.
funny.
I just learned it yesterday.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh, that's a new word. How fun.
I just learned it myself. I don't know. I hope I used it right. Let me know.
Says corn plating is a slang term for the extreme, often humorous overanalysis of trivial or insignificant details in media, typically when a fandom lacks new content.
But I'm doing it in real life.
Yeah.
Which is
Yes.
worse. Which is
Uh,
worse.
okay, so going a little bit back in terms of what you both mentioned, in terms of like how you feel in the middle of sparring, and then also Sam, you mentioned how like having to be a good listener. It made me think of like this debate that I was
Mhm.
in. And so like I went live with this other science content creator who was like known to be more um I don't know if the fringe is the right word, but he was more like controversial. Like he likes to take the more controversial takes, and especially during a time where there was a lot of like race and gender conversations happening in the SciComm
Mm.
ecosystem. He, although fell into these categories, like had a different opinion based on like what other people in this like group would think of.
What? I
And
also
so
feel like I could get
so,
Okay.
but I sometimes I battle with this of like, okay, being part of this group, but then also again, we're not a monolith. We're not in this like I want to advocate for the same things, but then also like want to question some of like the way that we like advocate and push for that. But anyways, but one of the arguments or debates that I found myself in, I forgot what the difference is. There's like strong arming and like straw manning and strong manning.
Yeah,
Straw.
a straw man argument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we were talking about like the importance of having diversity in in science, and I hated this in terms of like I'm not a good live debater. One, because I'm like that kind of person that will like think of shit to say like after the fight has already
Yeah,
happened, when
for
like I'm in the
sure.
shower I'm like I should have said that, you know.
Yeah.
But there was the example that I wanted to use was like there was this really beautiful video series that I watched that was directed by like Monica Muhead for like eye biology, in terms of like how this research scientist like was based in New York, and he had other colleagues, and they were like looking at like the health disparities within this specific like clinical trial or whatever that they were doing. And like these two scientists that were happened to be white, like couldn't figure it out, but then this other scientist that was like the main character of this doc mini doc was like he's Puerto Rican. And so he was like, oh, like this population that you guys are looking into is largely like a Latino population. So you can assume that like these things that you're finding is because of like the nutrition, like the food and the culture around like the types of food that they're eating compared to like maybe other areas, other populations within this other area. And so like I was wanting to like use that as a point to be like, this is important to have like a diversity in science because because of their lived experience, they can then they had the knowledge or the whereabouts to just be like, oh, we should consider this. And so then the argument that this person like posed back to me was just like, well, I forgot what else. Like I forgot, maybe it brought up another example of just like, okay, like if people are trying to develop something that's going to help like women in this specific thing, then it's important to have like women scientists in the room. But then his argument, his rebuttals back was just like, well, are men not allowed to like provide innovation? And I was like, I'm not saying that men aren't allowed to like innovate stuff, but also like if there's women not testing these things out or like in the room, there's might be like some blind spots. But then like
What about her email?
I know, but he like went on to like I felt like at that point when I left, I was like, fuck, I wish I like used I don't feel like I communicated well my experience of this. And also I knew the term of like straw manning, but I didn't think about it until after. And I wish I had was more not self-aware, but I wish I had more confidence in myself to be like, oh, I wish I called him out on that
Mhm.
at
I mean,
that
that's a
moment.
lot
Yeah.
It is.
for
It
you to
is.
have to do.
I know, but it just felt like I felt like I like not I didn't lose. It was just a conversation. It was just a discussion. I agreed to be in this conversation, but I just wish I like sometimes I don't know enough of a specific thing, even though I say I'm a part
Yeah.
of this thought group to like really defend it. And so I felt like I just wasn't well prepared for even having like a more heated discussion.
Can I say something about that? Is
Yeah.
I don't think this isn't a hot take at all, but actually how I feel about that, while on the one hand, I think representation is like the most important, like it's so important. At the same time, I also think I don't think that you have to be the only one advocating. Like, should a trans person be the only one advocating for trans inclusion in research? No. Like, I do feel like I, as someone who doesn't have to deal with all of that marginalization, should be able to take on some of that burden so that they don't have to fight all their own battles. And where the important differentiator there for me is it's like the nothing by us without us.
Mm.
So it's like it should be always in consultation. Like those two researchers never should have missed the nutrition thing because they should have been talking to people in their population. So it's people get so caught up as well. So only a woman can do women's health research. No, but like involve women, involve like the people. It's like participation. It's patient inclusion in research. It's not that like only marginalized people should care about their own issues. We all should, but until we do, and because we don't, we need to include those people. So it's, uh, but anyways, I feel like that's like one thing where I always worry when I'm saying we need more X type of scientists. It's not so that they're the only ones who can do that work. It's so that we can all do that work, but they're also at the table where they've been historically excluded.
Yeah.
There's like a subtle difference there that I feel is important.
No, thanks for that.
So I feel like see how like we like you're not having a conversation like right now with someone that is like there to kind of like not listen to you, right? Like I feel like Sam is calm, you're calm, I'm calm, we're friends, we trust each
Yeah.
other, and we're
Yeah.
I'm calm.
She's
We're
like,
so
hate
calm. I
never
relaxed
having
my
a guest
shoulders.
again.
fine.
Never having a guest again.
So one of the things that I wonder, first of all, I really don't think in this situation this is like on you to be like, I wish
Yeah,
I would have said that. I wish I
100%.
could have had this conversation. Like how this conversation just happened. Like this is like how we are going to like talk about the different sides of this. And I think what this person did was like didn't give you a chance to even like go back and forth really, because they put in an argument that felt like just so out of it. I mean,
Like they gotcha. They were trying to like get me instead of like actually having a discussion with me.
Right.
They
Yeah.
had talking points
right,
for sure.
right.
People who do this kind of thing.
Exactly. Like, exactly. Because like this is a technique that they have tried before, and they're like, this is how I'm going to do conversations because I've tried this technique in sparring and it kind of worked for me. And I think you were put in this mid of it. I'm going to say sparring because conversations are not sparring, but like for the sake of here, we're going to call it sparring.
It's a back and forth.
It's
It's
a back and
similar.
forth. Exactly. You said it right. So you were put in this place where you're like, oh, I thought we have these rules for these conversation where we're gonna like be honest and all of that, and it feels like we're just going somewhere else. The way I sometimes think about like how we train is that again, when we're newer, when I was newer, I was like, I want to get into sparring. And there's the senseis that are like basics, basics, basics. You're gonna learn how to do this punch again and again and again. You're gonna learn how to like fight back this cut again and again and again. Because the first time you go into a sparring, you're like, I do not know how to handle myself. Adrenaline, everything, and you just like go around and you get hit like right and left.
Yeah.
And I'm still like that. I think I got like a dash better when I pause a little bit, and I'm just a dash more able to strategize. And that is because when things were calmer, I got to like practice like
Yeah.
hitting back like this, so that in the mid spar, you're like, okay, I either know this person is all over the place, or I'm gonna like do this differently, or I know how to hit back. Or you know what? I think this person is here to just like break my skull. I'm gonna be like, I'm not gonna do this. I'm
Mhm.
gonna leave this fight. Sometimes I'm not even gonna spar with that person.
Mhm.
And I feel that a lot of times the more we see these things, like you might be able to like the more we practice, the more we get to like have these conversations about like how to manage these conversations. And this is coming like even though I say it, I am in so many conversations where I leave and I'm like, I wish I would have said that other thing. This happens so often where I'm like, I wish I would have said that. But me compared to me 10 years ago, I think that happens a little less.
Same. I have stopped. I used to, I think amongst my friends and family, be known to be very like stubborn and combative, and I couldn't, especially in grad school where you're like learning to do that. And we were in a lab where debate was strongly encouraged, and it was really fun. I've always loved debate. But I kind of just started realizing, like, it's not always worth my energy. It's not gonna be productive. Like, I always go back to, like, is this serving me and my community? Is this achieving my goals? And that's why I'd actually love to debate some of these, like, ignorant people. I'm like, the way I'm nice online, you don't know my true self. My true self, and anyone who knows me in person, I'm sassy as hell. I'm I will
Sam
put you
will
in your
throw an
place.
elbow.
I will read you for if truly, I will read you for filth.
Mhm.
That is my in-person personality.
I love it.
But, it's just not worth it. Like, what am I getting out of that? Like,
Yeah.
what like, yeah, I proved you wrong. I already knew you were wrong. Like, what are we gaining here? So now I've learned to just, like, even in person, if there's no one who's gonna benefit, sometimes I'll do it for the benefit of people around, but if you're saying something problematic or like completely wrong about science, if there's nothing to gain out of the conversation, I'm going to save my energy for another time. It's just not worth it.
Right. I wonder if you want to bring up, you and I had an offline conversation about Dr. Mike and how he was kind of like in a debate, but then the other
Mm.
person caught how defensive he was going, was able to disarm him. So maybe we can kind of like segue in like, how do we disarm? Like we talked about matching energies,
Mhm.
mirroring, but I guess like what are some other ways that we can like disarm people when we feel like we see that the other person's either becoming more defensive or becoming more agitated or getting more riled up emotionally? Um,
Yeah.
For
during a
context,
tough situation.
right.
Mhm.
And for context, this was a scenario that Dr. Mike was talking to this psychologist, and we know for a fact, like Dr. Mike is already a very calm, empathetic person that wants to make sure he has conversations that are empathetic. So at some
Mhm.
point, he was getting very stubborn with an idea, and he was like attacking, kind of felt like
Mhm.
he was attacking the psychologist, and the psychologist was like, I can't remember something to the effect of like, Mike, why are you being so defensive? What's going on?
Mm.
And for a moment, he was like, oh, whoa, yeah, I am doing that.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I'll send
Interesting.
it to you. It was the, and I don't know much about him. He's like, he does like gaming and therapy. I
Oh,
forgot his
interesting.
name. And then he was talking about like some alternative medicine. And it was the alternative medicine that Dr. Mike was getting very defensive about. And he was like, I'm agreeing with you, Mike. I'm also saying there's some evidence and it lacks some evidence. And I think there are ways to use it that is like effective. and you are continuing to pushing back while I'm like agreeing with you.
Yeah.
And I think Dr. Mike had like the self-awareness to be like, yes, I am doing that. And for the rest of that conversation, he was only asking questions and trying to learn. So in that case, the trust was established. And when trust is established, you can one of the ways to disarm is to just call out and be like,
Yeah.
this is
Mhm.
what you're doing. I've been in those conversations, call out someone, but like very nicely, very gently, very like empathetically, where like it actually does help. And there are times you
Yeah.
call out and it really backfires. But yeah, I wonder with martial arts is also
I the one that I think has a parallel too is, sometimes I just step back and I'm like, "Hold on," like, because people will take you down a path, and you don't need to go down that path. They might become hyper fixated. Like, let's say someone's a flat earther or, like, a moon landing denier, which, like, to me, you know, it's okay. People aren't dying because you believe that. That's okay with me. Um, but for me, we could just keep talking about, like, how you think it was done in a studio. We could debate why it wasn't, and we could go down that path. But I find it more interesting and more helpful to step back and try to, like, ask them, like, "Why?" Like, "Well, why do you think that? What's, like, the bigger thing here?" Like, "Do you think are you sketched out because it's a government thing? Like, do you believe, like, Elon Musk goes to space? Do you believe something else? Oh, you have government distrust because you don't like the way they've acted in the past? Cool, I agree. We have a shared thing there." So if you, like, back up, you don't have to follow them down their path. Same in sparring. You don't have to follow someone's pace. You don't have to wait to let them hit, and you can interrupt them. You can, like, redirect, you can angle out, you can start fresh, and, like, reset things, and, I just always find that to be the more interesting thing, like, finding the common ground, the kernel of truth to what they're saying. If I always will try to find, like, "Oh, you're right about this," but it's just I don't know, it's also just more fun and, like, a more humane way to talk to people.
Steph, can I say something before? Because I think you had something interesting to say about that too.
Yeah.
Um, what you made me think of, Sam, is so in Kendo, what you say is like as you're sparring, find an opening, right? You
Mm,
find an opening, and I think that's the same case with a lot of like martial arts or sparring. So if someone is like the hand is here, it's an opening, you go in and hit. If it's here, there's an opening here, so you hit the wrist because the opening is here. You don't go for places where there's no opening
yeah,
because then you don't
yeah,
get hit. And
exactly.
there's something about how you were saying you ask questions, you find the mutual ground. These are literally the things that someone is open about. So you find what are you open about? What is the thing you care about? What is the thing we agree on? I think that would be my angle too.
Mhm,
And I think I like that, Stephanie, you framed it as disarming because we're actually putting aside our weapons and we're like, even though it feels paradoxical, but those are the ways you kind of like hit in air quotations. And I think in communication that kind of like translates into you hit their heart. Something in the heart gets, stricken in
mhm.
a good way.
I was to say also at this point, like, it's been for so long that I feel a lot more unflappable. I'm like, there's nothing you can say to me online that I haven't heard 1,000 times. Like, it actually doesn't bother me. Like, I don't care. So that helps. I feel, like, much more calm. Like, I
Yeah.
feel
You've done
much
enough
less calm.
repetitions and sparring that you like you're just a veteran at this point.
Right.
Yeah, reps on what's it called? Reps on resilience, one of, our trainers has said. Anyways.
No, I like that though.
Mhm,
I know I feel like we're already at the hour because I wanted to pose one more question, which was more of like in terms of trying to find common ground. Because I think one thing too that I've like learned from martial arts, especially like living in a town, I live in a very small, like rural town on the Bible Belt in a conservative state. And so so the people that I'm
yeah.
rolling with are not always going to think like-mindedly, but I still have found community and friendship amongst them. So sometimes I feel like hypocritical because I feel like we're also in a time where it's just like if you don't believe what I believe in, I'm automatically like Xing you out or I'm like, you know, excommunicating from you or I want nothing to do with you because we don't agree on the same values. But I think being in such an intimate sport where I am trusting my safety and my body
Mhm,
with other people, then like I have to find friendship with them and
mhm.
especially with like at least the women where like not all of us have the same same value system, but we can all at least agree on like the importance of like community and like at least how jujitsu has brought us together and giving us these just giving us a space where we can be ourselves.
Yeah, I think it's obviously like you don't want to only surround yourself with people like that. And I think people who say you need to hear the other side, like I think there's a
Mhm.
limited returns to get there. But
Yeah.
I feel very grateful that I grew up around people who weren't with a science background, and I have extended family with very different beliefs. And I challenge them when it's appropriate, but I also listen and hear. And that has been like the best training ground for science communication because I have a ton of people who are profoundly anti vax in my family, you know? So that has taught me a lot about how to have those hard conversations. And so, like,
Mm.
I'm not gonna seek that out necessarily, but
Yeah.
I'm grateful that I have like friends and family who come from different backgrounds and aren't like I'm not a pedigreed university person. Like I was the first to do grad school in my entire extended family, and I think still like only. So that's really important to me because I'm also thinking when I'm talking online, I'm talking to my family and I have a lot of
Mm.
love for them. Just like you have community with your fellow rollers. Like I'm never going to be patronizing because I'm thinking of my cousins when I'm talking. I'm thinking of my friends. I'm thinking of all these people. So why would I be rude? I love those people. They just
Mhm.
have a different perspective, and I see where it comes from, and I wish it weren't so, but, you know?
I know. You could like empathize to an extent because like Ray and I talk about them like every single episode, like some of just of just like our hates and frustrations with things. And it's just like we can empathize and we have the tools to be empathetic and listen. But yeah, there is going to be a boundary where it's just like what we
Yeah,
mentioned earlier. Like I'm not going to roll with you if you are at this extreme or if you're coming in hot or if you're coming in with these
yeah,
things. Like I I am gonna fuck with you, don't fuck with me, but we can at least coexist in the same ecosystem and or at least in the gym and be cordial.
yeah.
Yeah. I also don't know
Mhm.
like any of like the political ideology of like any of my dojo mates, and
Mm.
I'm kind of it's interesting. I don't think most of us know each other's like jobs,
Mhm.
political
Uh,
affiliations, and a lot of these kind of things. And I don't mind it. And I feel like I'm getting to know them in ways that I'm like, I know you're a deeply caring person. That's what I
mhm,
don't know what your political partisanship is. And this kind of like applies interestingly to like the book Bowling Alone. And it was this idea that like many, many years ago, people all used to go to like bowling alleys and you had these like third place places where people would come together. They get to learn about each other as like human beings. And then if there would be like a political disagreement, I know that you are a person that I know and I trust who thinks a little differently than I do. So I'm not gonna immediately think that like you're absolutely evil, right? I'm
mhm.
not talking obviously about like the extreme cases of disagreement because like let's all agree that there are like
Yeah,
right,
there's a line.
Yeah, yeah.
there is a line, right?
Like, speak up, speak up.
Right, 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 right.
Yeah.
By all means, we're not advocating not to and put aside your differences. No, no, no,
No, no, no.
talk
Yeah, yeah,
about
yeah.
them.
Like there is a
However
safety line. There's like a
Yeah,
literal. I think to what Steph's point, there's literal safety like,
yeah.
thing. But there is like something to like. There's like sport. It's like sports spaces, dojos. All of that is still a place that we are not bonding within each other's identities, the identities that we're
Yeah.
familiar with, but we're bridging. And this is like one of the language that he uses in the book, where like what happened to the bridging spaces, and the less you have of them,
Mhm.
the more from
True.
and the less you know this person as a human being and more about it's about their categories, right? So I've been like really appreciating that part of like the dojo life. And especially like when I was doing my grad school, I started like anxious, depressed, and joining my iaido, my samurai swordsmanship dojo. They were just like it. I genuinely think it saved my mental health to have them and
Mhm.
to be in a space where I'm not talking about SciComm or anything related to that. And even now, sometimes like I do it rarely. I think when I talk about like Kendo and SciComm, there's always a part of me that I'm like, oh, but I don't want this also to become my SciComm. Like I
Yeah.
kind of do want a little bit of separation. I don't think it would ever be that like this would never be a page about Kendo and SciComm. Every once
Yeah.
in a while, I would drop something, but that's it.
Yeah, our coaches always say, like, "Whatever happened before you came here, check it at the door."
Mm.
you're here now. And to be fair, like everyone always thinks, oh, you must like Muay Thai because you like to hit things because you're frustrated doing SciComm. And I'm like, it's the opposite. It's that I'm getting hit. And so I have to be present. Like, I actually think it's much more helpful to get hit than to hit because that's just making sure that I'm focused and in the moment. And I've been extremely stressed lately. There's just a lot of stuff going on that are good, but it's just a very busy time. But when I'm at the gym for this training, I don't think about it. And that doesn't happen in any other moment. I'm thinking about it in my sleep, in the shower, everywhere. But when I'm there, I can't think about it. There's like no physical capacity to. So it's very therapeutic um and very beautiful.
Mm.
I do have another
Yeah,
meeting.
we'll wrap it up. We'll
I'm
wrap it
so
up.
sorry.
No,
It's
it's
with someone
okay.
external, so I can't like tell him.
But thank you so much, Sam. Any final words really quick before you drop off?
No, just thank you. And I love that we're all martial arts, SciComm girlies, and I love the pod, and you guys are great.
Yay,
Thank
thank
you for being our first
you.
guest.
I'm so honored, really. What a delight.
All right. Well, we
Thank
love you. Have
you.
a good meeting. Bye.
Love you too. Bye.
Oh, that was so fun.
Okay, for the audience, I feel like this has to be said.
Why?
Sam left and we wanted to like record an outro, so we were like, let's be natural and do like a goodbye as if Sam just left. We're like the least natural people. We're like,
We can cut it out. We can cut it out. Or we'll leave it in at this point.
no, we'll leave it. We can do that
Uh,
behind us. This was lovely. This was fun.
That was so fun. That was great. I enjoyed the conversations and the little ups and winds and downs that we went through.
Yeah. Can I tell you just like this is how my brain works where like when I worry about something, it just stays with me the whole time. So when you all were talking about when like someone in the dojo who's new like encourages you, it's kind of like could come off as condescending at times. So that hasn't happened to me yet, right? And there was a moment I overthought this in this way, which is not what you guys were saying, but I was like, oh, what if someone in my dojo ends up hearing this and they have been encouraging and they feel that I'm not asking them to be encouraging, but I am asking them to be encouraging. And this is a whole other different scenario. And for like almost all of the episode, that was sitting in the back of my head.
Mm.
And I was like, are you going to do something about it? But also like, that's not what you guys were not saying, like, don't be encouraging. You were talking about like how we are experiencing, you know, how it feels for someone to be like, oh, that was a great job. And what does that mean? Um, Especially because I actually so, like, I think in our dojo, being the receiver, the motodachi is, like, a very big deal, and as you go higher up, you're supposed to be a better receiver, and I remember one of the very early, experiences that I had was can I do this mini story before we end?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so one of the very experience that I have. So this is everyone is wearing armor. It's a giant dojo. There's echo. Everyone is screaming and hitting each other, so it's really hard to hear each other. And I was sparring with this like sensei who he was trying to tell me to hit on the wrist, and I was not hearing it, and I was hitting the wrong way. And he was just like, "Rah, rah, rah, rah," and I was like, "Rah, rah, rah." And at some point, as I come close, he holds my hand that has this like very thick gloves on, so it's like even
Mhm.
hard to like say like where. And he puts his hand, he's like, hit here! And he screamed. And
Mm.
I, in my head, I'm like, he is mad at me, and I did this so wrong. And just like it, I was like so worried that like I fucked up, I messed up, and he was trying to like he was mad at me. So I did the sparring, and then you switch to the next group. So I went to the next person, and the next person, it was like a different thing. You were like hitting on the head. And every time I was hitting his head, he was like, nice go, good job. And I needed that. Like I smoked that compliment. Like I snorted that compliment. I and
Give me that fucking recognition.
yeah. And at the end of it, like I felt so energized to continue going. And I even told him, and I was like, you were a great motodachi, like, thank you for that. Later, so I would say later I found out, first of all, this sensei that I was talking about is one of my absolute favorite senseis now. He's hilarious and funny, and when he gets like mad at you, you're like, it's a kind of mad at you that it makes you laugh. And the
Mm-hmm.
other thing that I learned is that it's so loud there. I could have not heard him if he wouldn't have shouted at me like that. And the reason he held my hands and did that is because I was not hearing it. He was telling me, hit here. This is where you have to hit, right? So one is my perception. It's like a good SciComm lessons of someone. I think it's a bad perception, but that's mine. It's because I didn't know the context and everything. And also that like how much in conversation, just being a good listener and an encouraging person, even if you go in a storytelling show where like you hear the story, scream, laugh, clap, be a part of this good audience. So how can you be a good audience? So that's one of the things that came to my mind, that the whole time I was like, but I want my dojo mates to be like, great job, Ray. And that might be just because I'm a compliment bitch and I keep wanting to hear compliments.
Yeah.
So
You need the words of affirmation.
yes, 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 yes.
I think this goes like full circle into like how we even opened up this podcast about just like how we're so like self-aware to a fault that like you are worried, especially you, Ray. You are always worried about what everyone else is like. You're like Ray is the most least risk adverse person you'll ever meet, but then also like super paranoid from like every interaction if it doesn't go like yeah, you're reading too far. What is it? The corn thing that she just taught us? You're corn plating in real life. You're corn plating in real life.
Right. I'm risk
Yeah.
averse when it gets to like offending people in conversations.
Yes.
And I think that
Yes.
comes from
Or
what
getting in
Sam
trouble.
was saying, from the Arab and Middle Eastern cultures of politeness, where I'm like, sometimes I'm over polite, where I'm like, this is actually not doing, this is not helping you. This over
Mhm.
politeness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess that was a good lesson. I guess what how do we wrap it up with like the main points of like
Right.
yeah, exactly. Or should, what did I forgot the saying that Sam said like repetition is
Repetition resistance? No, repetition resilience?
yeah, maybe
No.
repetition resilience. But essentially it's just like the more practice you get at it,
Yeah.
the more you are prepared when you are in more heated discussions or yeah, more heated discussions.
It's like you build callus because, like, like the more you hit with a certain thing, first it hurts, and then the more you learn, like your skin actually literally gets thick. So I
Yeah.
feel like that's part of, yeah.
And then yeah, listening and mirroring. What else did we talk about?
And just community, like it's a community that is different, and you should be in these spaces, and you should connect with people with safety in mind, based
Yeah.
on all the different kind of things, and yeah.
Yeah, community and bridge building. I really liked what you said, like building bridges.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's this, I think this is in a way the translation of "go touch grass" from, like, doing SciComm and academia is like, "Go touch grass, go in a dojo, go hit some people and shout."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, go be super intimate and roll with people that are twice your size or even smaller than you are, just different parts of life. Become uncomfortable, but learn how to be comfortable and yeah, with different types of people.
Okay, we're out.
Make my own rules, play my own games. I don't give a what you say or think or do. The way you live your life is